All right, today we're going to tackle one of the biggest, most common myths in solar energy, and that is, how much power does a solar panel actually produce? The answer is probably not what you think, so let's dive right in. Okay, so let's just start with the big one. Imagine this. You go out, you buy a brand new, shiny 400-watt solar panel. You put it out in the sun, you're going to get 400 watts of power from it, right? I mean, it seems totally logical.
Well, the short answer is nope. Not even close. In fact, it almost never produces its rated wattage. And figuring out why, that's the absolute key to designing a system that, actually works when you need it. So, first things first, we've got to bust this myth wide open. See, most people, and maybe you've done this too, use this super simple math to guess their solar output. But the thing is, that math, it's just fundamentally wrong.
It's kind of like two different worlds, right? On one side, you've got what I like to call marketing math. It's simple, it's easy, and it lives in a fantasy world with perfect sunshine all day long. It just ignores all the messy, real-world stuff. But then, on the other side, you have engineering. This is based on real physics. It looks at everything: the clouds, the heat, the angle of the sun, every tiny little loss in the system.
So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get from that fuzzy marketing math to real solid engineering? Well, it all starts with the single most important variable, and it's the one that almost everyone overlooks.
And that variable is irradiance. Now, it sounds technical, but it's really simple. Just think of it as the actual amount of solar power, the real juice from the sun, that's hitting the surface of your panel at any given second. We measure it in watts per square meter, and trust me, this is the bedrock of any accurate solar calculation.
Okay, so remember that 400-watt rating printed right on the back of your panel? Where does that number even come from? Well, it comes from a lab. They test it under what's called standard test conditions, or STC. It's basically a perfect ideal scenario. And the key part of that perfect scenario, an irradiance level of exactly 1,000 watts per square meter.
But here's the kicker, and this is so important. The real world is not a laboratory. Out there, on your roof, the sun is basically never hitting your panel with a perfect 1,000 watts per square meter. That number is bouncing around all day long.
And I'm not talking about small changes. We're talking dramatic drops. On a slightly hazy day, that 1,000 might drop to 700. But if you have heavy cloud cover, you could be looking at 150, maybe even less. And that's just from clouds. We haven't even talked about the time of day, the angle of the sun, or even a little bit of dust on your panel. So here's the golden rule, the core principle of how this all works. Your panel's output is directly proportional to the irradiance. That's a fancy way of saying if the sun's intensity drops by, say, 30%, guess what? Your panel's power output drops by 30%. It's a one-to-one relationship. It really is that simple.
Okay, so with that in mind, we can start to build our first piece of a real-world formula. You take the panel's rated power, multiply it by the actual irradiance you're getting, and then divide all that by the lab standard of 1,000. Now this gets us way, way closer to the truth, but hold on, we're not finished just yet.
See, irradiance is definitely the biggest piece of the puzzle, but it's just the first layer. Now we have to look at all these other little hidden losses. Think of it like a death by 1,000 cuts, all these small inefficiencies that stack up and just nibble away at your total power.
And the next big one is heat. And this is kind of ironic, right? You'd think more sun, more heat, more power, but nope. Solar panels actually get less efficient the hotter they get. The heat makes their voltage drop, and since power is just voltage times current, well, your total power takes a hit. And if you live in a hot climate, this is a huge deal.
And what's crazy is how these losses all stack on top of each other. It's a chain reaction. First, you lose some power to the heat. Then you lose a tiny bit more just from the resistance in the wires themselves. Then it gets to your charge controller, which is awesome, but it's not 100% efficient, so poof, a little more power is gone. And finally, if you need to power your regular AC stuff, the inverter has to convert the power. And you guessed it, you lose a bit more in that process.
So when you finally put it all together, you take the real-time irradiance, you subtract the losses from heat, and then you account for all those little system inefficiencies, that's when you finally leave the guesswork behind. You've built an engineering-grade model that can tell you how your system is actually going to work out there in the real world. Okay, I know this sounds like a bunch of nerdy math, but I promise you it is not just theoretical. Getting this right has huge real-world stakes. I mean, it is literally the difference between a system that you can rely on and one that's just going to let you down.
Think about it. When you rely on that simple marketing math, you're always going to overestimate how much power you're making, and that leads to disaster.
You end up with a battery bank that's too small and can never get a full charge. The whole system is constantly stressed out. You get these surprise shutdowns right when you need the lights on, and all that stress, it can literally cause your expensive gear to fail years before it should.
So here's the bottom line, the most important takeaway. The success or failure of your entire solar setup, it doesn't really come down to what brand of panel you buy or how much you spend. It all comes down to the math you do right at the very beginning before you've even bought a single wire.
And if there's just one thing I want you to remember from all of this, it's this idea. Electrical systems have to be designed for reality, not for ratings. You have to build for the messy, unpredictable, real world you live in, not for some perfect number printed on a sticker in a lab. So, I'll just leave you with this one question to chew on, especially for your own projects. Are you actually engineering your system, or are you just kind of estimating and, hoping it all works out? Because that answer, it changes everything.